Hello, everybody. Reggie Time here, and in just a minute, we're going to be looking at 9 hands I played on the 10 cent, 25 cent, 6 card PLO streets on Pokerstars over the last couple of days. Not all of them are big pots, they're pots I've marked after I played hands to review myself to see how close I'm getting to what I think I should do with more time to think as opposed to what I do in real time when up against the clock. Before we get to that, I just want to say we are still absolutely loving our 6 card adventure. It's swingy. It's interesting because, frankly, I still absolutely stink at the game. But as you can see by these HUD stats, there's plenty of other players who stink, maybe more than me. So even though I still have no real clue of like any decent strategies other than C flops, nut pedal. Um, I still do okay, and I still think it's enough to give me edge in the games that I play, and then in the private games I played, I think like my edge is even greater because the games are even wilder than what we're going to see today with the players that are going to turn up in this video. Before we go any further, tonight, that is Thursday, the 29th of January, I'm thinking of doing a live stream on Facebook of my playing the private games. In order to watch that stream, you'll need to join the Facebook group that I'm going to put a link to in the comments of the video. So if you'd like to watch that live stream tonight, please join that Facebook group. And I'm hoping to be going live around 7:30. I'll be streaming some 20 no limit net game. I'll be streaming some 26 card PLO, and I'm going to flick in some bullets into a tenner rebuy too, tenner no limit rebuy. So please come along and join me for that if that's something that might interest you. And not guaranteed to stream yet, but we're at about 80%. So please come along and join that Facebook group if you would like to watch. And if you'd like to play in those games, please join the Facebook group and drop me a message or message the Telegram handle that is in the more section beneath the video. Right, that's that out of the way. Let's see how badly I've played over the last couple of days. Here we have a player who's featured quite a lot on the video so far, this Froso. He's a, how would I describe him? Bad, certainly. He plays daily, he plays multiple tables, he rarely plays a full stack. And as far as I'm aware, he is insanely passive post flop. If we look at these like post flop aggression stats, flop aggression 20%, turn 25, river just 16. I'm not the most aggressive player, and mine are all significantly higher than his. And I'm not even particularly aggressive. Although that said, there aren't too many players who are super aggressive in these games in general. We'll keep watching them throughout the video, but these are regular who's like less aggressive than me post flop. Another regular, small sample, like less aggressive than me. So yeah, these games, even though they can look really quite wild pre-flop, post-flop, a lot of people just like drop into only really continuing with aggression with either nutted made hands or nutted draws. And I think the way to win at this game is to um, attack weakness when you see it, because like passive lines are not particularly well protected, and also then kind of overfold versus aggression because the aggression just isn't really there that often at the low stakes. So we've got this passive player who's min opened, been called in multiple spots. We have not a particularly attractive hand, not remotely well connected, but we do have a suited ace nutmaker, and we are closing the action. So I think call is our only option. We flop an open ender, backdoor Broadway, backdoor flush. So we got a little bit of something. Let's see what happens. It checks to us. So our first option here, we can lead out trying to thin the field. We do have some nut potential. We can make a nut straight. Um, we can back into some nutted stuff. I think taking an aggressive line here and leading out could be good. It's a pretty dry board. Yeah, I think probably given what I just said about how passively the game's played, if we look around us, this guy isn't going to reopen the bet unless he's really strong. This player's unlikely to. He's got a very capped range pre, given he's just called the min raise. This player's really quite loose, not mega aggressive. This guy's already checked. I think we can safely lead out here and get some good information. If we get raised, we're just going to be up against very strong hands. A lot of the time, most likely, just going to be like a set raising us 2 pairs, unlikely to raise on this board. And not too many draws. So I think probably lead out for half pot, two. Well, just lead out, which is what we do. We get a call from the weakest player at the table on the button, and the small blind gets out of the way. Turn, we improve to 2 pairs, which isn't really what we were looking for, but it's an improvement. I think probably just keep on with the betting lead here, which we did, and we get called again, and the river breaks out. Nothing really gets there. 8-9 that floated the flop. It's not going to be a big part of his range. Not saying it's impossible for him to have it, because he's got 6 cards and he could have been chasing one draw, backed into another, or he could have been calling with a weakish made hand and backed into it. So we can't rule out the 8-9, but it's not something to be utterly terrified of. The question here is, is our hand strong enough to value bet? I don't know. Is our hand weak enough that we want to bluff? What are we trying to make fold? If we do bluff, kind of an awkward spot now with our made hand of 2 pairs, because we don't really want to check call because we know people under bluff. This guy's only bet the river 19% of the time. Probably means he only bets rivers when he's got a really strong hand with very rare bluffs. So this is kind of awkward now. I think probably we could get away with blocking here. Don't know. It's tricky. This is probably why I've marked this, and I'm happy with my play until the river. And now I don't really know what to do for the best here. We could end up value owning ourselves. If we bet, we could end up running into a range that is just too strong when we check. Although I don't know what strong hands he can have if we go to check call. Just because I don't necessarily think he's got a strong range, but when he bets, he'll just have strong hands more often than not. I think probably blocks the play here. Crikey, we didn't block. We went for a big bet. I'm bluffing here. When I use this size, this is not a value bet. This is me bluffing. But what am I trying to make him fold? Maybe set of deuces, set of threes. Didn't raise the flop. They're not going to fold, though. Or unlikely to fold. No, I don't like my river bet here. I don't think this size is really congruent with value. And I don't really know what hands I'm getting to fold. Maybe we could make hands like 10-7 fold, Jack-7 fold, etc. We're ahead of 10-7 shut up edge. Don't know. Don't like this. Don't really know what its purpose is, to be honest. It did work in terms of we won the pot. But no, I don't like my I like my line to the river, then I don't understand my bet size. I was clearly bluffing in the moment, but trying to bluff him off what? God knows. Next hand. We open this hand in the cutoff. We get called by a loose passive player. We get called by a, I don't know, 28-10 kind of a reg, kind of a tight fish. Don't know. Sample size is too small anyway. And then we get called by a whopper in the big blind. And we flop a wrap with a backdoor second nut flush draw. Excuse me. This player now leads out. And as I said earlier, this guy, again, is just another really passive player. And these aggression statistics here are not indicative of somebody who's aggressive. When people just donk out multi-way, generally just got a pretty strong hand. But we've got a wrap. I think it's a wrap. I don't really know the terminology. And we're clearly not going to fall to this. It's a matter of now, do we raise to try and knock other players out of the pot and any equity they might have? Or do we just call? I think if we call and we get squeezed, it's unfortunate because we have plenty of equity. But the range for squeezing here is just going to be insanely strong. It's just going to be sets and similar strength draws to mine. If we raise, then hopefully we knock out the button and the small blind, and then I'm just happy to run it versus this guy who's quite bad but probably has a relatively strong hand. I did go with raise. We picked up a cold call from this player, which is unexpected, frankly. We are deep. Maybe that's why he does have a cold call range here. I'd expect 100 bigs not to see this cold call, but we are nearly 200 bigs deep with this player still. Still a bit odd though. This guy now shoves, reopens the betting, but there could be no further action other than calls. Turn, we turn the absolute nuts. And this player absolutely turbo led out. Make no mistake about it here. The guy has ace king. There's no other hand he has here when he does this. He's not doing this with just king nine. It's unlikely he's floated the flop and then just turned a flush draw. Maybe he has a hand like queen, queen with nut clubs or something like that. And he's just like, fuck it. But it's just going to be the same hand as ours. I'm not going to put a percentage on it because I'd just be guessing, but the vast majority of the time, he's just going to have the same hand. Now, the dilemma here is that if he's got the same hand and he's free rolling us with clubs, then it's a really fucking grim spot for us. We have the nut flush blocker, but that's not to say he can't have the same hand as us with some like weaker clubs, like second nut flush draw or third nut flush draw, etc. He just has to have the nuts here because like he's just bombing into a dry side pot, and he's just not incentivized here to bluff when he's still got to be mean and jesty. And I was like on the fence with this because I've got the nuts, but I can only win half of the pot if my read that he has ace king is correct. And if he's free rolling clubs, then it's going to be a big problem for us because he's going to just like win the pot outright 20% of the time. So we're playing for half of the pot. And if we just have clubs 80% of the time, we're going to get half the pot. Or maybe 75, 80% of the time, we're going to get half the pot at best. And then 20 to 25% of the time, we're going to lose the entire pot. And I'm not good enough to figure out. I mean, I think I just have to call here. But I don't know. If we think we're getting free rolled, if we think we're guaranteed chop and then getting free rolled, do we ever consider just folding this hand? And genuinely, I don't know. I looked at this hand with someone I talked with Poker about quite a lot last night. And we concluded that we probably have to call, but it's deeply uncomfortable because I genuinely think we're going to chop or lose. And if we're going to chop or lose, do we really want to put another $34 in a scenario where the best case scenario is chop and the worst case scenario is lose? Really interested in anyone who plays six cards comments on this because I was genuinely strongly considering folding the nuts in this spot with a card to come. Obviously, if we were as deep and we only had, say, 70 blinds left, it wouldn't even be a consideration. But we are still like 140 big blinds here that we're putting in my opinion, chopping and being free rolled. I ended up just committing and just rejamming. But I don't know if I genuinely don't know if I like it or not. Your man called. And he did have the same hand with the free roll. And this isn't me being result orientated after the fact. It genuinely is. I was strongly considering just throwing my hand away on the turn because of the potential it was getting free rolled and because we still had like 140 big blinds behind. Next hand. Open here from, he's tagged orange, but he's not really an orange tag. Orange is my tag for kind of like reggish type player. Called by a maniac here. We have 3 kings, which is unfortunate, but we have double suited, so we want to be in pot with this guy. And the big blind comes along too. We flop bottom set and a flush draw. I think we could definitely contemplate leading out here. Just bet 3 betting all in, or bet 3 betting and looking to play for stacks. We can also consider check raising. I think check calling wouldn't be my preferred option here. We do check this time. I think leading out could have been pretty neat there though. And it does check through. Turn, we turn a flush. We definitely need to start building the pot now. We bet, and then we get raised by someone over a small sample playing 31-0. Obviously a very passive player. And now it's not fun anymore because he's representing the nut flush. He's not raising a jack high flush here. You wouldn't imagine. I mean, he might be, but it's just not something you see very often from this player type. There are some player types who might raise a jack high flush here. This player, based on the limited information we've got, doesn't strike me as being that sort of player. So he's representing the nut flush. I'm just inclined to believe he probably has that. But we do have a set of 4, so we can improve past the nut flush with the board pair. So I don't think we can go anywhere. I just call. The river bricks out. We check. He bets again, and he chooses a non-all-in size. We need to win relatively infrequently here. But again, as I often talk about, it takes a very specific player type to have river bluffs in this game. There's just so few players that do. People are just so scared of the nuts. They either have the nuts or they're terrified of it. I mean, genuinely, we got the second nuts here, and my instinct is just screaming fold. You know, that we need a player to be raising the turn with something like maybe a hand like Jack 10 with the nut heart blocker. I don't think there's air on the turn. I think it's going to be nut blocker with some other ways to improve maybe. And then the river when the barrel comes in. And we've bet called the turn. We've kind of explained to him we have a flush, and he's still betting. So we know at least one of his cards here. At least one of his cards is the ace of hearts. It's just, does he have another heart with it? Is this player capable of running the stiff ace bluff? Now, everyone's capable of it, but are they capable of it like decent? Are they doing it often? Is it a rare player? The problem is I don't know enough about this player. All I have so far are the stats I've got in front of me, which lead me to believe we're dealing with a relatively passive player here. And if we are, and he's under bluffing, then all of our bluff catchers are going to perform badly. And the next question is our hand a bluff catcher or is it a value beater? If we believe it's a value beater, then we, of course, have to click call. The thing is, I'm scared by just calling rivers with bluff catchers and literally losing the hand like significantly over 90% of the time. I'm going to do a video at some point when I get more hands in my sample of just my river calls. and do like I did one for No Limit a couple of years ago where we did like how we called the river. How often was our opponent actually bluffing? And it was pretty low frequency. I think it's even lower frequency in this game, but I haven't got a big enough sample yet. I ended up folding my hand, just folding the second nuts, and I don't know how I feel about it. Next hand, we have double suited aces. We open the button, get called by a guy playing 97 VPIP. We flop nothing really. But I think we can still just value bet our aces right now. Build a pot, which is what we do. Turn, we pick up a nut flush draw to go with our overpair, but there's more ways now. We can just be losing to a 97 VPIP. We can have like every kind of two pair imaginable. Unlikely we were behind on the flop when he doesn't raise. Not mega likely he's overtaken us on the turn, but there's just more ways now. He could have called us with any king, 7 or 6 on the flop, and just randomly added a queen. Still think we probably need to bet for value, though, of course, with that overpair. Maybe it's thinnish value now, but we do have the diamond redraw if we do bet and get raised. He just calls again. River, we river top set, which is a thoroughly pleasant development. He checks again. We just go for value. And then we get check jammed on. And we've got the second nuts. Are you spotting a theme in this video so far? I wanted to fold the nuts on the turn 3 hands ago. I did fold the second nuts on the previous hand. And now I'm strongly considering folding the second nuts on this hand. Because we block the natural bluffs. Like he doesn't have diamonds here that miss diamonds. It is check raising. Well, he might have, but it's unlikely. He's super unlikely to be doing this for worse with worse for value, because you'd think his worst value might be a hand like ace queen or ace king, and we know where lots of the aces are. And again, I just think this is just going to be the nuts nearly always. We need 2.4 to 1 to call, so we need to win here. I don't know. If we're getting 2 to 1 to call, we need to win 33% to 2.4 to 1. Maybe we need to win like 37, 38% of the time. Not quite sure. And again, are we just going to fold the second nuts on the river? What would you do? I mean, I think we have to bet the river for thin value, and then we get shoved on. Well, not thin value, just for pure value against the 97B, but it's not even thin shut up range. But when he checks shoves, it's just going to be Jack 10, nearly always. Do you think this guy's, doing this with a worse value or a bluff often enough to call, getting just 2.4 to 1? I didn't, and I folded, and I was happy with that fold. Not happy that we had to fold it, but happy with the fold. Next hand, we have a very weak player opening. We have 3 queens here, which is not fun, but we are double suited, and we have a 95 VPIP up here I'm very keen to play pots with. We have this really docile passive player in the big blind. So I've got the button. I just want to see a flop versus an 86 VPIP and a 95 VPIP. And that's what we do. We flop a nut flush draw with nothing else. Checks to us. I check through. Turn, brick. Checks again. Now this player leads out for a block size. We've got basically all the queen jacks. We don't have a queen jack, but we've got all the queen jacks blocked just about, apart from a few. And I think on this board texture, queen jack just bets the flop a lot of the time. People just get scared. Oh, I've got the nuts, but it's a scaredy board. Bet. It's a very, very, very common theme. That fear rules people in this game, myself included. Some people have strong made hands. They just don't slow play. They just don't trap. And again, like I was saying earlier, they really don't do a good job of protecting their checking ranges. Have good hand. In or out of position, doesn't matter. Bet big. It's just people's general strategy. So I think when it checks through and then they only bet small on the turn, I think he's just inviting us to steal this pot, which is what I go for. And he called. River is a brick. He checks. And I think we have an absolutely mandatory bluff here. Just mandatory. I think we never had the best hand. Literally never. He's just going to have, at least an ace or better nearly always. Yeah, I think it's a mandatory bluff. I don't think there's much to say about this one. We do go for the bluff, and our opponent folds. Next hand, we open the cutoff. We get 3-bet by a maniac and defend. We flop well without really flopping anything too much. Top 2 pair on a super coordinated board. 2 pairs unlikely to be the best hand by the river. Our opponent leads out here for a pot size bet. Already probably forcing us into raise or fold territory. I think we don't really call here. The turn breaks, and then what we do is call again. Don't love that. I mean, the guy's a maniac. He's playing 66-44. 3-bet stats irrelevant, but it's 31% over 65 hands. He's 3-bet the small blind 4 times out of 5. Yeah, I think against these super wild, super loose, super aggro players, you just want to push equity. We block the nuts. We block top set and second set. I just think we'd run out of equity here. We do raise. He calls. We turn the second nuts with just 4 big blinds back. He jams it in. We call. And he did flop the nuts despite the fact we blocked it. But we got there on the turn and we were lucky boys. We 3-bet here versus a wild player's open with our triple suited kind of marginal hand. The reason I'm 3-betting here is because we've got 2 remarkably passive players behind, and I just want to freeze them out of the pot. Just get out of my pot. I want this guy to myself. You're not going to do anything about it when I 3-bet unless you've got a really good hand. So just get out of my way. Player calls. We flop. Straight flush draw, but fine, it's a straight flush draw, it's exciting, but it's still just essentially a 7-high flush draw, which isn't a particularly strong draw. He checks. I elect to check back, probably not wanting to face check raise, even though I think check raise is super unlikely. Turn, he now leads out. We've got every draw under the sun. We have the Broadway wrap, we have the second nut flush draw, we have the diamond draw, we have the open ender. Call or raise here, I don't think it really matters. We decide to call. We river a flush, which isn't what we wanted. He checks, and I think just check back. And he had the nuts and decided to try and trap your boy, but it didn't work out for him. Limp from a maniac. Limp from a really pretty boring fucker. Another boring fucker in the small blind, i.e. me, completes. And it checks through. We flop a wrap. We lead out. We get raised. And you can see by this player's aggression stats post-flop, he is the type of player who is clearly out there being aggressive with much weaker holdings and population in general. I think we can 3-bet here or just call. Don't really mind which. We go with the call this time. Turn the nuts. We check. He pots it. We have the easiest check raise of our lives with the nuts and the second nut redraw. He calls, river bricks out, we shove, he calls. And yeah, that was a nice situation for us. I don't really know why I've marked that hand for the view, honestly, because it all seems incredibly standard. Or standard in terms of like me applying the game plan I want to apply. Limp here from a player who's never bluffed in his life. We just check our option. We flop a second nut flush draw and an open ender. We lead out because this guy never bluffs. And the guy that never bluffs raises us. So, hello, top set. How are you today? That's literally all this guy has in this situation. Possibly top set with a draw, but definitely top set. I mean, honestly, I've played a lot with this guy. It says 779 hands. I've played thousands of hands with him now. I've just like created a new database a few times as my game's been evolving, and I've wanted to, basically, as my game evolves, I keep refreshing a new database so I can see how are my results since having another like light bulb moment. This guy just has top set. Make no mistake about it. He might also have a flush draw. No way in 3-betting into that range. We just call. We turn the nuts. And I'm worried that he's just going to check back top set here. So I'm just going to lead out all day, every day. He now just calls. And then the river brings backdoor hearts in, which I don't think is a particularly big part of his range. I think here blocking would be the play. I doubt I found it in game though. Yeah, we should just definitely block here. Just block fold. This guy just is never going to bluff us in a bazillion years. Just like block $3, fold to a raise. And against some aggressive players, he maybe block $3 and not fold to a raise. Against this guy, he's never, ever... He could watch this video and still not exploit me because he's so pathetic. Block fold's just a line here. He checks back, so we're just going to win. Except we don't win because he backed into a flush and decided not to value bet it. Whatever. Next hand. Last hand even. We open the cutoff. We get min squeezed by a maniac. We obviously defend. We don't love our hand. It's not very good at all, but we've been min squeezed by a maniac. So what are we going to do? We're going to see a flop. Again, we flop a wrap. He leads out for full pot. We are pretty deep here. Could still definitely contemplate raising. Could also just call with position. See what we do. We turn the nuts. He now leads out, but downsizes significantly. He's gone from full pot to half pot. This usually means something, and it usually means, look, mate, I really like my hand on the flop. I still like it now, but I don't like it as much because I've gone from having whatever was a strong hand on the flop to having a medium strength to strong hand on the turn. We should just fast play here. Which is what I do. And he just folds, sadly. Whatever. You know, I don't want him to... Like if he's got like a set of 8s or a set of 9s, something like that. I don't want to bet and just call and then like him get there with a hand that would have called a raise sometimes. He hasn't called a raise this time. He's obviously just fucking about in some way or other. Or he's made a really good fold. Who knows? But I guess I've marked that one because I'm like, is my raise appropriate? And is the size too big too? Maybe we could just have made this like 13 or something. Yeah, we're giving him good odds if he's drawing live. But maybe this is just too big of a raise. I just mashed the pot button. Maybe we just, against a real whopper, we just milk them. And then if the board changes, tough shit for us. Who knows? But anyway, that's the end of the video. Please do hit the Facebook link if you want to watch me live stream tonight. And if you want to get involved in the games, get in touch with me through the day, because once I start streaming, I will be uncontactable in terms of getting in touch. But yeah, get in touch with me during the day if you'd like to join in the games tonight, or just join the Facebook group if you'd like to watch the stream. But thank you for watching, everybody. I'm out of here. Take care, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye for now.